Hello, I'm Tony Wiggins here with Locked On Jaguars on a Friday. I want to talk about help. Where could the Jaguars possibly get some help? We got that and a little bit more on today's show here on Locked On Jaguars. Stay tuned.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, people? On a good Friday, I am Tony Wiggins here with Locked On Jaguars, your Jaguar station, because it's your team every day. And it's free on all platforms. I got to make sure I tell you all that because it's a crazy world we live in these days, man. You got to pay for a lot of stuff. You don't have to pay for any of the Locked On Podcast Network's shows. Everywhere you can get podcasts, we are free. I got to let you know that the NFL season is about to begin. You know that. And nobody covers it like Locked On Podcast Network. On August 30th through September 8th, from August 30th through September 8th, the Locked On's Ultimate Season Preview is taking you through every team and every division with the help of Odyssey's Ross Jackson and Jason La Canfora. Follow the Ultimate Season Preview 2021 feed on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts to tune in beginning August 30th. I want to talk about some help, man. Not the movie, The Help. We're not making pies and giving them to our neighbors. But where could help come from in the terms of bolstering this roster? Or is it just they got to wait until next summer or the next off season, and they got to just fight through what they're doing right now with who they're doing it with? Segment 2, I'm going to talk about this ridiculous notion. Some people have been writing some things. Of course, people write stuff all the time. The thought that Trevor Lawrence is a bust. There's one, that's not true. 2, anybody that could try to make that assessment now with what you've seen must be blind because he doesn't look like a bust. Just because it hasn't looked the way you thought it was going to look doesn't mean that the guy's a bust. There's a lot of stuff going on around him that's making it look that way. And we'll look towards this weekend's game against the Dallas Cowboys, the last preseason game of the 2021 preseason. They got 2 weeks, man. They have 2 weeks for them to get their act together here in Jacksonville and try to look better. We're going to go out and have a preseason game against Cowboys. I'm thinking that maybe they don't try to be as vanilla, but you won't see them give away a game plan. I'm trying to find this happy medium because I see teams around the league that aren't looking as vanilla as Jacksonville, but they're probably not also giving away their game plan either. I don't want the swag and the luster to fall off of the fans or the players or the coaches, in fact, just because the preseason hasn't looked the way you wanted it to look. But we can't make excuses either. The worst thing you can do is pretend that your eyes haven't seen what you've seen. And the most damning part of that entire scenario is guys being blown off the ball on the offensive line. The lack of separation with the wide receivers. Now, that could be a lot of things. So we'll see how that goes. Trevor appears to be holding on to the ball. Could be correctable, or it could be something that's connected to the fact that the receivers aren't getting open. It could be something connected to the routes not being fun. We have to try over the last preseason game to figure this out, because what you don't want to do is go out and lay an egg against Houston, who I believe has the worst roster in the NFL. But where can you get help? Are there people out there on the market that would literally do anything to change this franchise? I don't think so. I think the only running backs, I reached out to a lot of my Locked On colleagues from around the league, and I got some information here that I'll share with you. The only name that I hear, and one of the things you want to do is go to good teams. You want to go to good teams to see guys at certain positions. Jamil Douglas, I don't know a lot about him, but he may be a guy that's available for trade because of the depth in Buffalo, and he's a guard. Would adding an interior offensive lineman from a good football team help this team? Yeah, they just picked up a guy with the waiver wire from the Bears the other day. We'll see how that works. Maybe it's just a take a look, see, or someone in the scouting department probably stood on the table for him. But at this point, you're going to now look around the league as teams start to shrink their roster down. I'll give you a perfect example. Shaun Wade, the rookie in Baltimore, had played, from what I heard, had played really well this preseason. Baltimore might just know that they have a numbers game. And they have a lot of other young, long, and athletic guys. And he was a fifth-round pick. They probably had a better grade on him, and he got the value. He showed up. Instead of cutting him, they trade him to New England. They recoup their fifth-round pick, and then they get a sixth-round pick for him from the Patriots. That's kind of the way this works. So you're going to look around the league and see if teams are going to be able to unload guys like that. The running back position, you're not going to get what Travis Etienne is going to give you. That's not going to happen. Do you go for maybe a Latavius Murray, who seems that he's probably lost his second-string job in New Orleans? I don't think he adds much to this team that Carlos Hyde doesn't give you. Do you take a look-see at Rashad Penny, who Schottenheimer probably knows very well from his days in Seattle? Do you take a look as a third running back or as a kick return option for Rashad Penny, a former first-round picks? The Jags seem like they can make a call to Seattle because they seem like they collect former first-round picks to see if they can extract something out of them. Who are some of the guys the Jaguars might use as a little bit of chips to call around about? Obviously, Gardner Minshew on offense. Not so obviously, but possibly Colin Johnson, the wide receiver, in second-year player. I know there'll be probably interest in Philly for him because he's a wide receiver with size, and I think a lot of the Philly guys are not necessarily big guys, and he'll give them another red zone target. Taven Bryan, do you call around and find out if someone wants to give you something for him? At this point, teams probably won't. They'll probably just take their chances that he hits the free agent market. So the Jags don't have a lot that they're giving away. Still, the biggest chip is probably C.J. Henderson. Now, with the today's news about Tyson Campbell having a calf injury, I don't know if that makes C.J. any less expendable if they were thinking that. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to realize. But it gets really, really grim when you start to realize that this is probably who they are and what they're going to have to be. So you just hope that this gets better. You hope that there's improvement, and you hope that as the season comes around, you start to see some different things, and they're able to at least beat like the really, really bad teams, the teams that drafted close to them. You got to beat them first, and you have to get out of the cellar of the AFC South. You really do. And part of that is making sure that Trevor Lawrence continues to develop. And one of the things you have to do is pretty much keep him upright. So what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence. Some guys out there writing articles that the dude is a bust, and that's ridiculous, but we'll discuss it because it's Friday. We got jobs, but we ain't got nothing else to do. Talk about the Jaguars, and we'll do that in segment 2 here on Locked On Jaguars. I want to tell you about Built Bar. You got to celebrate freedom of choices, man. Do you know that Built Bar has so many delicious flavors? There's something for everybody, right? And when you talk to a Built Bar fan, they're definitely passionate about their faves. If you don't know the Built Bar flavors, well, you're missing out. It's coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate. I know what my favorite is. It's that salted caramel, man. It is absolutely delicious. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they're healthy too. 17 to 18 grams of protein, very few calories, ranging from 130 to 180, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, 4 to 5, not 45, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Order today and get the grasshopper cookie or raspberry or whatever you like. Built Bar is the original protein bar for the U.S. track and field team. That's very, very neat. And here's what you do. Go to BuiltBar.com and use the promo code LOCKED15. That's right, LOCKED15, and you're going to get 15% off of your order. Use that promo code now to get 15% off at Built Bar and visit them at @bar_built on Twitter. Moving along, man. Moving along here on segment 2 on a Friday. I'm just trying to give it to you like I get it. And that's raw and uncut, straight with no chaser, because that's what we do here on Locked On Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence. The people writing articles out there, I don't want to even mention them. You just follow my Twitter and you'll see me quote some guys, or you'll see me at some guys about some things they said on Twitter. They talk about bust. There's no way you can look at what you've seen with Trevor Lawrence and determine that he's a bust or anything close to it. That's ridiculous. You can't, however, be a little bit disappointed that it didn't look the way you thought it was going to look. But then you have to start taking a look around at why. Urban has talked about how the offensive line needs to improve. We all see that. Everybody talks about that. Urban talks about how they need to play with more tempo. He's right. Urban also discusses how they need to not be as vanilla, and he didn't want them to be that vanilla. You're right. So you have all of these things that's going on around the quarterback. Now, that doesn't mean that you can say that he hasn't played the way you expected him to play. It doesn't mean that you have to pick one or the other. It just means that there's no way you can look at it and call it a bust situation. That's absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion, to even let that come out of your mouth. There has to be something attached to it. So here's what I think is attached to it. I tweeted added one guy, and you can see at the end of his article, he went, "Welcome to the NFL, golden boy. I got a 90% bust rate on you. Look like that's what you're going to do." When you start hearing people say stuff like that, when you start hearing people call guys golden boy and all of this stuff, I think they have an agenda. And the agenda is they're trying to validate an opinion that they had, and probably a clickbait opinion that they had about Trevor as a player when they evaluated him. You can get to the point where you disagree with people, that everyone thinks he's a generational talent, and you're going to know he's not a generational talent, but I think he's good, but I don't think he's generational, and that's fine. But if you start putting adjectives on guys, that means that it's something deeper, and you want to be right so bad that the first thing you see that validates or makes it look as if Trevor Lawrence is as bad as you proclaimed him to be, you jump on it. Trevor Lawrence has not shown anything that makes you think he's a bust at all. Arm strength is there. Courage. Took off running the other night, dove for the first down. Want to. He's not rattled. Okay, maybe he holds on to the ball too long, or maybe what he does, if you really look at it, is he holds on to the ball and stares down the gun barrel to see if he can make a throw, as opposed to taking one read, bailing and run. See, this is the thing. When it's somebody like Lamar Jackson, he can't read defense. All he does is go one read and take off. That's a problem. With somebody like Trevor, who stands there and holds it and looks around, well, he's holding the ball too long. With some analysts and some I call them prognosticators, but they might be procrastinators and prognosticators mixed together. But the thing is, with some people, you can't satisfy them. Is Trevor not supposed to stare and look and look and look and look and look and look? Does that necessarily mean that he's not a guy who's an anticipatory thrower? I said about Marcus Mariota years ago that I wanted to see how he played in the NFL, because his offense at Oregon was designed that people were running wide open. Some people are saying that about Trevor, that he played at Clemson and everybody was running wide open. So what's going to happen when he plays and guys aren't open? Or does he have to learn what a new open means? That's the part that I think he has to figure out. What is the new open? There's going to be a new open in the NFL because guys are faster. There's going to be a new open in the NFL because the windows are smaller. That's what he has to adapt to, which goes back to why he was in a quarterback competition. It was ridiculous. If you want to blame anything or anybody for Trevor's showing so far, and there ain't a whole bunch to be mad about, but if you want to blame anybody for it, blame this fake competition that he was involved in. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and you can decide to send whatever messages you want about guys earning it or doing whatever. But it's either going to come with some value or it's going to cost you something, and there's a price for it, or sometimes both. Now, does the value outweigh the price? In this case, it didn't. In this case, the value did not outweigh the price. The time that he's missed with standing on the sideline when you could have been doing things that are practicing and working on his strengths and weaknesses and catering your offense to his strengths so you can build an identity. You couldn't do that because him and Gardner Minshew have two different ways of playing. So he's not a bust. He's just been put in a funny, weird situation where a coach has a prerogative of what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. But in this case, to me, at least early on, the value in that wasn't worth what it costs. You don't have positive equity in that scenario if you're Urban Meyer, because Urban Meyer's the one himself who's complaining about how the offense looks and doesn't have identity. So Urban Meyer's the one responsible for the fact that right now it doesn't look like you want it to look. And part of that is because you were in a quarterback competition, or so-called. So, yeah, we're learning as we go along, right? If you're Urban Meyer, you're learning as you go along. And while you're going along, don't open the oven if the cake isn't done, because it's going to fall. I remember my grandma used to bake cakes. She said, you open the oven, whatever you do has a consequence when it comes to this. When it comes to taking something from one way and you want it to end up looking another way, but you're on a time schedule, well, whatever you do in between matters. And I always use these analogies. Grandma puts cake in the oven, it's supposed to bake for 45 minutes. If you open the oven at 27 minutes to see what it looks like, it's not going to look like you thought it was going to look when it's done, because you stopped the process. It fell. Right? Right. So we discussed what's going on, where the help can come from, if any can come. We talked about this weird Trevor Lawrence looks like a bust conversation, which is ridiculous. Now we're going to talk about this game with the Cowboys. What do you think we're going to see? What do you think they're going to do? I'll tell you. Of course, you know I will. In the third segment of Locked On Jaguars here on a Friday. After I tell you guys about Bet Online, right? You need to start getting your money right, man. That's all I'm telling you. If you're betting on games and you're making these little friendly wagers with your friends and you're getting 1-to-1 and you always find yourself winning, just imagine what you do if you went to Bet Online and you start parlaying stuff. It's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron to start the football season at multiple levels. Get all the updated odds, props, and contests, including online's biggest $500,000 NFL mega contest and the world's largest $200,000 NFL Survivor contest. Open now at Bet Online. Head to the website and use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. And I did not stutter. 100% welcome bonus if you sign up today. Be sure to take advantage, and listen very closely to this, of the opening day super promo. Make a bet on the Thursday game between the Cowboys and the Bucs on September 9th, and your wager will be refunded up to $25, even if you lose. That's for new customers only now when you sign up and you use the promo code NFL100. But if you're just signing up, you need to use the promo code Locked On to take advantage and get that 100% matching bonus. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports, from football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite casino games. Don't wait and take advantage of all the great offers available for the 2021 season. Do not wait. You need to take advantage right now. BetOnline is your online sportsbook experts. The promo code is Locked On. All right, man, we're going to push through and give you a little bit of a game preview. What are you going to see? The first thing you need to pay attention to is the tempo. Tempo is going to be affected by their ability to block on the offensive line. That's the second thing you need to take. That's 1 and 1A. That's 1A and 1B. Both of them, they're going to work together offensively. Separation. See if the wide receivers can get separation. See who's going to try to win that last 1 or 2 wide receiver spots. If a third running back develops, check it out. See what's going to happen. See what's going on. Look at those young linebackers. If Shaq Quarterman is going to cement himself as one of the first reserves and a great special teams player for this team this year. And then watch the defensive backs. There's some guys that are on the bubble in terms of the defensive backs. check them out and see what they got going on. I think he's going to probably play Caleb Vaughn to see if Caleb Vaughn can get him a sack. When guys like Caleb Vaughn and C.J. Henderson and Taven Bryan and guys that this team really needs to do something, I don't know about Taven, but at some point during the game, just watch them. Do what coaches and scouts do. Watch one guy and just watch that guy perform and just keep your eyes on him, and that'll help you decide. It'll give you some idea when you start trying to make your depth charts. But it'll also help you decide, and it'll show you, what people see in them, as opposed to you having just an opinion based on what someone else says. That's the fun part of this to me, is when you just put your eyes, don't even watch the whole play. Put your eyes on one guy for an entire series or two to see if he does anything or if he's just a dude that's out there. And too many times, I'm going to tell you, that's my knock on Taven Bryan. I watch him myself, and I just see a dude who's just out there. It looks like he's doing a dance routine. Like it's choreographed. Like this is where you're supposed to be doing this to make this look a certain way, so do it. Taven looks like the guy that's doing this in the background. Like, just do this and make sure you do that on time, because if you don't, it's going to look messed up. That's what he looks like. He doesn't look like he's a dude out in front trying to, stir stuff up or wreck the whole show. Nah, he just looks like the dude that's what he looks like to me. So you see for yourself if he looks like anything more than that. Because if they leave him on the roster, I would be absolutely shocked. But we don't call people busts around here. That's not what we do, because I couldn't even make it to the league. We just say they're not good enough. Their peers are better than them, and they were probably overdrafted at certain points. So, yeah, I want to see how much they play Trevor. And then I want to look at these two backup quarterbacks again, see if C.J. Bethel can continue. Now, I got some friends that work for Locked On 49ers that told me C.J. Bethel was terrible. I had some friends years ago who were in the San Diego media, but when the Chargers were still in San Diego, that told me Josh Lambo was terrible, and look what happened. So you just never know what a change of scenery does to someone. I want to check them out. I don't know if they play the starting corners. I need to see a little bit more from Shaq Griffin. The last thing we want to see is Michael Gallup running past Shaq Griffin and Shaq Griffin chasing him. Because now, one or two times it's just something that happened. 3 or 4 times it becomes something that is just bound to happen all the time. And that's not what we want to see, especially as the regular season gets closer. So enjoy that last preseason game. And I know you guys are glad there's 3 instead of 4. Some people are thinking they wish it was 2 now. But it's going to be real interesting to see how this plays out as the Jaguars get to the point where they're going to decide their roster for the 2021 season. Also, make sure you check out the Locked On Bets podcast, because it doesn't have to be a guessing game when you go to Bet Online. If you listen to the new Locked On Bets podcast, hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling, you get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favorite picks, and Lee Sterling's lock of the day. Follow the Locked On Bets podcast, brought to you by betonline.ag, wherever you get podcasts. That's it for the week, man. It's the weekend. It's Friday. You guys enjoy. Be safe. Enjoy the game. When we come back Monday, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about what we saw Sunday, what we think is going to happen depth chart. I'm trying to break that depth chart down, the anticipated cuts and the anticipated 53. And then everything is going to be starting to gear towards that first week of the NFL season. So until then, you guys do what I always tell you to do. Try to take care of each other, man. That's all we can do. It's a crazy place out here right now, but we can get it done if we just stick together. All right, this is Tony Wiggins signing off from Locked On Jaguars for a Friday. Take care.